everybody, I want to thank you. This is U.S. Term Limits for our Facebook live stream. It's been about 3 weeks, I think, since we've joined you. I'm Ken Quinn, Regional Director. Boys, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Yes, I'm Ron Hooper. I'm part of the Western Regional Group, all the Western states.
My name is Ken Clark. I am the Regional Director for the Southern states, West Virginia, Virginia, all the way down to Louisiana and everything in between. So welcome and welcome. Glad you are joining us.
Yeah, things have kind of been kind of chaotic, haven't they, for everyone? So we're all kind of hunkering down and appreciate everyone's support out there. I'm sure everyone's lives have been kind of turned upside down. So we wanted to definitely touch base with everyone today. And as we were talking before going live, I think we're going to be doing a lot more of this now that everybody's kind of stranded in their homes. We're not going anywhere. I know I had a lot of meetings scheduled, traveling plans to go to legislatures, and that's kind of up in the air right now. So we're going to be going a lot of stuff live on digital and emails. I don't know about you guys in your territories, but
well, yeah, I had plans to be going to Louisiana, Mississippi. I'll still be going to North Carolina, but those are individual meetings. But every state legislature, for the most part, is shutting down for at least 2 weeks. And we're going to be reassessing around the first part of April. But until then, we just don't know. Legislative sessions are being postponed. Elections are being canceled and postponed. All kinds of crazy things are happening. So we're kind of winging it just like everybody else. But we will keep you informed. The moment we know anything, we'll let you guys know. I'm sure a lot of you will know even before we do. So this is how we're going to communicate. But it also, on the other side of that, provides an opportunity. If you've been wanting to build groups, and we're going to get to this later, build groups on social media, if you've been wanting to reach out and call your legislators, they're at home too. So we can talk to them. We can have these one-on-one conversations that while they're in session and while they're down at the Capitol, it's very difficult to do that. We can do it now. So that, I think, provides a unique opportunity.
Yeah, we kind of have a captive audience now, don't we? I know once they're home, they're going to be stranded themselves. And so if we can find their home phone number, that might be a great way people can reach them, talk to them. And we are working on putting term limits on Congress, and we need your state legislators to get behind this. And so we are not going away. We are just learning to adjust here for the coming weeks and months. Everything's going to be fine. It's just a little bit of a hiccup in this effort, and we are not going to stop whatsoever. So with that said, hey, Ron, why don't you share a little bit about what Dana's been doing, and I'm going to bring him into the screen here.
Great. Well, Dana's a perfect example of really the future of social media and how it's been effective. So I met Dana over line. He reached out, was a fan of term limits for some time. I'll let him explain that to you just a little bit, and we got to know each other. I use Dana as an example all the time. I'm a little right of center, he's a little left of center, and we have found a common cause with term limits, and we have developed a whole relationship over this, and I find that to be the case almost anywhere. So welcome aboard, Dana.
Thank you, Ron. It's really been exciting for me. It's been a passion of mine. I just came up with a memory on my Facebook yesterday from 7 years ago on a post about term limits. So it's been something I've thought about for years. Last January, the term slacktivist came up. Slacktivists, people that do online petitions and nothing else. And I took an offense to that title, so I decided it was time to do something about it. So I created a small Facebook group, hoping I can get 30 or 40 local people. Now we're up over 610, something like that now. So,
yeah, he's coined the word "don't be a slacktivist," and he's really he's really pushed it through his website. So it's more than just, hey, sign the petition, volunteer, become active. And so why don't you tell us a little bit, because you started out building a Facebook group for your friends and family. You want to elaborate on that a little bit, Dana?
Right. And again, I was just thinking about collecting signatures locally here. And after I started the group, it started taking off, and people from out of state that I know started asking and joining the group. And now I've got several people that are inquiring about it. So hopefully we're going to get more and more people involved in it. I ended up bringing on 3 more co-admin onto our group to try and manage the people and keep the questions answered. And
Well,
so
when
far,
you started out, you had maybe 10 or 15 people. Where are you at now in your group?
608, I believe.
That's awesome. Great job.
That's amazing. How long did it take you to build up to that level?
A little shy of 2 months.
That's impressive.
Hey, I'm telling you, folks, the wave is here. It's now.
It really is. More and more people are talking about it all the time now. I went out yesterday and started putting signs up. Hopefully get some more attention with that. I went and talked to a couple of friends of mine that are activists in the local level, and they're all excited about it and got them to sign. So
how did you
talk to us also? Oh yeah, go ahead.
How did you do it, Dana? How did you get that many people involved?
I just kept on sending invites repeatedly.
Was it to your friends?
The other day when I logged in, it came up with hundreds of names of people I didn't know, and I just started clicking invite, picked up 25 in about an hour. So that option hasn't appeared again. So,
well, we were talking earlier about a captive audience. So Dana has discovered a captive audience. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Right. I live on an island just about 70 miles north of Seattle. That it's a ferry terminal for all of the San Juan Islands out here, along with Victoria, BC. And we've already got permission from the Washington State Ferries to collect signatures there. And we've pretty much got a captive audience. People sit there in line for hours waiting for the ferry. So now that we've got some signs to draw attention to us, I think we can get out there and start hitting the streets. But again, with the virus and everything going on, there's not much travel going right now.
Well,
I thought that was...
Go ahead, Ron. I'm sorry.
No, I just thought it was a unique idea to find people that are in queue and just walk up and down the queue, getting them to sign the petition. I thought that was pretty unique. We'll have to delay that for a while because of our times, but find where people are. If you want to meet new people, this is the way to do it. Only do it online now.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I would suggest that now is probably not the best time to go to your grocery store or Walmart and hang out in front trying to get people to sign a petition. That probably won't be very successful today.
Right. And my experience here in town, both the grocery stores have corporate policies against petition signing. So
yeah,
we have to find new places.
I wanted to spotlight what he said earlier, because when you build your group, Facebook will start to make suggestions on people to invite to your group. Right. And all you got to do is go down that list of selections and just invite those people. Now, the other thing that I want to point out that Dana's done that's very, very important is he's kept this nonpartisan. Why don't you talk about that, Dana?
Right. That was the whole from the very get-go. If you go look at our page in big, bold capital letters, it says nonpartisan. We've had probably 2 different people that came in trying to bring other issues into the group and argued with us, and we just delete their posts and went about our business. And for the most part, I've got lots of conservative friends, and we banter back and forth online all the time about various issues. But at the time, people right now don't seem to be worried about the differences we share and going for what we all agree on.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, and it's been my experience, and I, without going into my own political ideology, but it's been my experience that it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. People understand that Washington, D.C. is broken. They understand that it needs to be fixed. They also understand that career politicians, regardless of party, is a problem. Our founders wanted a citizen legislature, and we've gotten so far away from that. The only way to fix it is through term limits, and the only way to get term limits is through a constitutional amendment. And we all know that Congress will never propose such an amendment, so it's up to us to do it through our state legislatures. And Ken Quinn's going to be talking about that a lot more here in just a minute. But, for the environment that we're in right now, social media is it. We can do so much with social media. And so, Dana, that is really terrific stuff you're doing. I really applaud that effort.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and Dana, I joined your page, and so I remember, Ron, I think this was your brainchild as well, to have folks, volunteers, start a page. And so what I did is I'm starting slow. I started a group for two of my states. So as for everyone watching, we have state Facebook pages. So if you just looked up like Wisconsin term limits, Minnesota term limits, whatever state you are in, we have a Facebook page for that. So what I've done, I've created two groups, one in Wisconsin and Minnesota. I'm going to start slow, make sure I can manage the comments. And I think this is going to be a great way of getting activists involved and getting them connecting with one another in the state. So if you're in those two states in my region, please join it. Shoot me an email and I will send you an invite. I don't think I can invite people unless I'm already friends with them on Facebook, unless I have their email address. And so I'm looking forward to trying to grow this effort as well. So great inspiration, guys, for both of you. Thank you so much.
One more thing, if you haven't went in and signed up as a volunteer, and if you click on petition gatherers, you will start to get a series of email that will instruct you on three things. Number one, how to reach out to your friends and family and get them to sign the petition, how to build your own little group piece, and number three is where to look for places to sign petition, which we can't do now, but the first two you can.
Right. All right, Dana, thank you so much. I'm going to move on to another slide here. So unfortunately, I'm going to let you go.
Okay, great.
Dana, thank you so much.
Take care now.
Congratulations. Excellent work. Excellent work.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. That was awesome, guys. Okay. Let me ask you guys, do you want to go into some of the Article 5? Hey, Ken, why don't you share with people what Article 5 is all about, and then I can get into some of the nuts and bolts of a little bit of this.
Well, yeah, because we haven't done one of these in a while, I thought it might be important to just give a brief background on what we're doing and why we're going about it the way we're going about it. And I briefly touched on that when I was talking to Dana just a second ago. But, I think people understand Washington, D.C. is broken. I think people also understand that Washington, D.C. will not fix itself. So that means we, the people, have to do it. And then that begs the question, how? So let's talk about term limits. We know, I think it's common sense, and most people appreciate the idea that we do need to limit the terms people can spend in Congress. We limited the terms of the President of the United States. It only makes sense that we're going to limit the terms of the congressmen as well, congressmen and women. So that means both the House and the Senate. Back in 1995, Thornton versus U.S. Term Limits, the United States Supreme Court came down with a decision that said the states do not have the authority to limit the terms of their own congressional delegation. Whether you agree with that or not, I disagree with it, but whether you agree with it or not, that is what the Supreme Court said. They also went as far as to say, in order to limit the terms of Congress, you have to amend the Constitution, okay? So very quickly, according to Article 5 of the Constitution, there are two ways to propose amendments. The first one is, the way most people are familiar, Congress can propose amendments to the Constitution. Once they do, and 2/3 of both the House and the Senate vote on that and agree on said amendment, it then goes to the states for ratification. It takes 3/4 of the states, or 38 states, to ratify. Okay, so it takes it takes 2/3 of Congress to propose an amendment, then 38 states have to ratify whatever amendment it might be. The other side of that is it takes 2/3 of the states to get together and file a resolution on the same subject, which in our case would be a term limits amendment. Takes 2/3 of the states to say we want to get together in a convention and propose being the operative word, an amendment to the Constitution. So we have to have 34 states pass an identical resolution saying we want to get together in a convention to propose a term limits amendment. All 50 states then get together and hash out what those terms would be. Once they agree on what that amendment would look like, it then goes back to the states, just like it does if the amendment were to be proposed by Congress. It goes back to the states for ratification. So that's what we do. That's what Ken, Ron, and I do. We go from state to state to state, and we try to get those state legislators to pass our resolution. Once we get to 34, they'll come together in convention, Assuming they can pass an amendment out of that convention, it goes back to the states for ratification. So that's what we're all about. That's what we're trying to do.
All right, great. Yeah, great introduction there. So what I want to do is I want to pull up some information on that. I'm going to pull up on the screen here. And because we all hear this all the time, that this is a constitutional convention, right? The legislators, some of them think it's a constitutional convention. A lot of people, when they read Article 5, they get all tripped up on the phrase convention for proposing amendments. That means, oh, you have to propose more than one. Do you guys hear that out there?
I don't hear that part so much, but.
No, like an open convention, anything they can propose, anything they want?
You bet. Open convention, runaway convention, con. I hear all kinds of garbage, and it's just that. It's garbage, Ken.
Yeah. So what I want to do, I'm going to try to alleviate some of those fears. I'm going to focus just on the screen for right now. So we can still hear you guys, just won't be able to see us for right now. So anyway, let's cover Article 5. Ken kind of explained the process. I'm actually going to pull up the text of Article 5 so you can read it for yourself if you're not familiar with it. But I want to share this quote by James Madison in Federalist 43, because what Article 5 gives the states, it's equal authority to propose amendments. And let's just read this together. It says, to provide for amendments to be ratified by 3/4 of the states under 2 exceptions only, that useful alterations will be suggested by experience, could not but be foreseen. It was requisite, therefore, that a mode for introducing them should be provided. The mode preferred by the convention. Now he's referring to at the 1787 convention when they were debating this. So the mode preferred by the convention seems to be stamped with every mark of propriety. And I got to go to the next page. It guards equally against that extreme facility which would render the Constitution too mutable, and extreme difficulty which would perpetuate its discovered faults. So it's a balance. They didn't make it so easy that it could get totally destroyed, and they didn't make it so difficult that they could never fix anything. So that's what he's saying here. And then it says, it moreover equally enables the general, that's the federal government, equally enables the general and the state governments to originate the amendment of errors as they may be pointed out by the experience on one side or the other. So it clearly shows that proposing amendments is equal between Congress and the states. You guys see that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Have you heard them try to, can you hear me, Ken?
Yes.
Okay. Have you heard those people that try to say that line that says enables the, well, you took it down, but it says, it says to originate the amendment of errors. They say, well, they're talking about punctuation.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. The double face palm, right? I mean, nothing could be further from the truth. What they're trying to do is to make the Constitution adequate for the exigencies of our republic. And that's all they're trying to do. And so when things come up like in a situation where we are now, we've got an out-of-control federal government. We all know that. So the Constitution gave us a way to fix it. The states can and do have the authority to fix the issues in Washington, D.C. And
the errors they're referring to is not punctuation or grammatical errors. It's errors in the structure and the power of the government. And if they need to adjust, if there's a imbalance in the system, that's the error which we need to fix. So what I want to do here is just, I know Shanna has mentioned that Article 5 is actually one sentence, and she's right. It's one long sentence. And so what I did here, I took the text of Article 5 and kind of broke it up into the sections. So the first section, you already covered this, Ken, is the proposal section. It's 2/3 of both houses of Congress, or on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the states. Okay, so that's the proposing section. The second in the light blue is the ratification. I'm not going to cover that. It's real simple. Regardless of how they're proposed, Congress decides the ratification process will either be done by state legislatures or by the people in ratifying conventions, and both of those have been used in the past. The grayed out section no longer applies. That had a 20-year expiration date, so I'm not going to cover that. And the last part that's still in effect is that the Senate equal suffrage or representation of the Senate cannot be changed without a state consenting to it. So let me just, now, people all the time will say it's not limited to a single amendment. Let's just use some common.
Yeah, or a single subject.
Or a single subject. So let's just, I want to use some common sense. I don't want to go to really any other source because there's tons of sources out there that specify that Article 5 was for a single amendment, one amendment. If the states wanted one amendment, that was the purpose of it. Let's just read this. Number one, this is the question I like to ask people. It says the language there, the phrase propose amendments. Do you see how that is included not only for the states, but also for Congress?
Well, of course, yes.
Okay. So does that mandate that Congress must propose more than one amendment?
Well, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't, does it?
No.
Okay. It's common sense. So people get so hung up on the plural amendments that they think, oh, if it's a convention, it has to propose multiple amendments. Well, no, it doesn't, because we already saw it's equal authority with Congress. If Congress can propose a single amendment, that means the states can do as well. It's so clear. And not only that, if you think about it logically, it takes 2/3 of both houses to propose. Now, that means that 2/3 of Congress have to pass basically the same amendment. You can't have 2/3. So the equivalent would be this. You could say, well, if 2/3 of the states apply, that means they can introduce anything. Well, that would apply to Congress, which means if we had 200 and what's the 2/3 of 435?
I don't know.
Whatever. Here, I'm going to, if we took 2/3 of Congress on both houses included, that's 535 times 0.67. I've got to do my math here. Sorry, guys.
Well, let's cut to the easy chase.
So that means you could have 358 different amendments proposed by Congress. You simply can't do that. They have to pass the same amendment. And so it's just common sense. And that's what's so frustrating. So let's just take a look at our brief history. Oh, I wanted to show this is a report by the Attorney General, the Department of Justice, 1987, talking about limited conventions. And in this report, it states, since it is undisputed that Congress possesses the authority to propose amendments limited to a single topic or group of topics, it follows that the application of the states for calling a constitutional convention may also be limited. This understanding is reinforced by the normal practice of the states in limiting by subject their applications to the Congress. So it's so clear. And then if we just look at our own history, okay, let's look at history.
This is terrific.
Yeah, this is, okay, 12,000 amendments have been introduced in Congress, simply introduced. Out of the 12,000, they've proposed by the necessary 2/3, 33 amendments. The only ones that were more than like a package deal was the Bill of Rights. They proposed, and that's the only time in our history Congress has proposed more than one amendment. The Bill of Rights was 12 amendments proposed in 1789 by James Madison. Out of those, 11 of them were ratified, 10 in 1791. And our last amendment, the 27th Amendment, was one of those. Bill of Rights was the last one in 1992.
Hold on real quick before you continue. I want you to emphasize that point you made about the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights was 12 amendments, and they went through as 12 amendments, but they were not ratified that way. Each one of those was ratified individually, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Exactly. Singly, they were ratified individually. Exactly. And so the states ratified the first 10 there right out of the gate. And then that one that hung out there for over 200 years, that got ratified in, I think it was 1992. Our last amendment that's been ratified was proposed in 1789.
That's right.
And then the remaining 21 amendments that were proposed were all single amendments. And so all Article 5 does is give the states the same authority to propose a single amendment just like Congress. And so that's what we're doing. So I just wanted to share that with people. And it's that simple, guys. And so our amendment, now we're not specifying the number of terms. We haven't gotten that into that much detail. We just want the discussion. Let the states decide.
Well, and there's a couple more things to that as well. I'm constantly asked that question when I'm visiting with legislators. They're like, what are your terms? What are the terms you're proposing? And I say, we do not propose any terms. We don't have that in our application, and there are several reasons for that. But the most important reasons are that all 50 states are going to have to live under the same amendment. So all 50 states need to get together and hash out the terms, and it will be a fight because some people are going to want 12 and 12, and some people are going to want 8 and 8. You know, there's so many different opinions on that. But we, as an organization, want the conversation to take place. We do not believe it's our place to tell them what those terms would be. That they're going to have to figure that out. Once that convention starts, we're done. Our job's over. Now, we'll, of course, if we like what we see, we'll go out there and help with the ratification of it. But we don't dictate to the states what those terms are going to be. They're going to have to figure that out. And they're going to have to all get together and decide.
You know, it could even be maybe they send out 2 different versions and see what the people want more. You know, we don't know. But it's going to be limited to term limits on Congress, nothing else.
Well, that's the beauty. That's the beauty in this, in its simplicity.
Yes.
When you take a look at all the other popular initiatives, this is the only one that even gets close to the popularity of term limits. None of them. And even the second most popular one on balanced budget, there's at least 13 states that would be negatively impacted by the balanced budget. And that's all it takes is 13 states to stop anything. So that's why the simplicity of term limits, where they decide at the convention about what the terms are actually going to be, getting it there physically will create a salvo across the bow of Congress that they've never experienced before.
That's right.
That in itself is really the power here.
And the thing about term limits as well is that people know what they are. We have 15 state legislatures that have them. We have them on school boards, municipalities. Everyone knows what term limits are. And we've also done this through Article 5, the 22nd Amendment, put term limits on the president. So this is so foundational to our country that this should be a very I think it'll probably be the fastest ratified amendment once it gets proposed. Now, guys, I can't see any comments on my end. We're having a little bit of a technical difficulty.
I can't see them either, Ken.
So I don't know if you guys are on the Facebook page, if you can see any questions. Normally they would show up, so you guys aren't seeing anything either. So for those of you that are watching us, we are sorry. If you're asking us questions, we can't see them right now. Not sure what happened.
I want to thank Tim Olson and Jim Olivey and some of our supporters out there that are trying to react to it. We are getting already over 400 comments. Okay. So we will reach them. And if they haven't replied to them, I know people are talking about Texas. Go to ustermlimits.com and check out what we have on a localized basis. But again, thanks for those that are working on these comments.
And the reason why it's been a few weeks since you've seen us, I've been doing a lot of traveling. I was in Maryland. We had a hearing for our resolution in Maryland. They have wrapped up for the season, and I don't think the committee even voted on the resolution. I was also in Vermont. We had a crossover date. We have introduced in the Senate and the House in Vermont. And we've been doing calls to actions in these states as well as other states. I had a lot of things planned to go to Pennsylvania. Our state director there was working on some events and meetings. Unfortunately, due to the coronavirus, a lot of these things have been canceled, obviously. So a lot of moving parts, everybody. Bear with us. We're going to get through this, but we are not going to stop putting the pressure on the state legislatures. We need you, our supporters, to be calling and emailing. Go to our website, termlimits.com. If you haven't signed our petition, please sign it. That's how we communicate with you. If you want to help us in your state, go to our website up top where it says get involved. There's a little volunteer tab. fill it out. Let us know how you'd like to help us. And if you are in not Madison, if you are in Wisconsin or Minnesota, that's my region. In the North region, I cover 17 states, and these guys cover about the same. I started groups. I'm going to try to start Facebook groups in a few more states as I can handle and manage the comments. So anything, guys, you want to wrap up?
I want to say one more thing on that. We need local people to administrate those Facebook groups.
Yes.
It can't be the regionals that do that, because it's just too much. So, if you're the one that can admin that in your state, raise your hand and tell either Ken, or myself, because we need some help there. I meant to mention that with Dana. The first thing he did was take the admin, and then of course when you do a good job, we give you the state admin. So he's doing both. So, but you need to admin and manage those Facebook pages. We really need your help.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Ron. That's exactly what we need. We need people in the state that can do that, because we're going to be way too busy.
Well, and you know what's going on. You know what's going on locally and how it relates locally. So you're the right person if you're local.
Absolutely. I put my term limits email in the comments section on the Facebook page underneath this broadcast. And I highlighted the states where we need the most help right now, that it's very timely. We need help in every state. Even the states we've passed, we need help. But those are the states that are live right now. So please take a look at that. Feel free to send us emails, get involved. We will respond. It might take us a little while, but we'll respond.
Now, are there any questions that you saw, Ron or Ken, that we can address while we're live here? Is there anything I should cover?
No, there's great stuff, but Jim have been active in answering them.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, there's tons of thanks for 473 comments. So thanks a lot for reaching out. It's nice to know you're out there.
This is the first time we've done this in the daytime, so we might have to figure out when the best time to hold these. And obviously, everyone's kind of stuck at home right now, and they need something to do.
We are living in very interesting times right now, and so nobody has anything else to do, and they're getting tired of watching them. All my children, so here we are. We're a good alternative to soap operas.
Well, there's the live streaming part, and then there's the after views. And I think you checked that last time, didn't you, Clark? What was the amount of after views?
I don't remember, but I want to say it was like 30,000 or something.
Yeah, several thousand. So it's amazing. Anyway, you can find these on U.S. term limits. So if you've missed the others, then you can find those on our term limits page. Just go down and you'll see all the videos from several weeks back.
You know what I might do? I might just do a few minute little videos on the stuff on Article 5. Just, like we did today, just a short video and get it out there, address different questions. Was James Madison against an Article 5 convention? Just all the little
Scalia against an Article 5 convention. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So we'll try to, I've been thinking about doing that because it would be nice to be able to share with legislators as well. And we'll see if I have time. It's not enough time in the day, boys.
Well, you're not going anywhere.
So, folks, I want to thank you for joining us, and we will be in touch. We'll try to do this, get back on the weekly event now that things are settling down. And thank you for your support. Get involved. Help us. We're going to get this done.
Thanks, Dana George. Thanks, Dana George.
Thank you, everyone.